first, and we're going viral. Quavo was named MVP of the Celebrity All-Star Game, showing off his moves with a nice Euro.
Hit him with the Euro, Quavo.
No, he had it in him. And here's another. This is nasty. Watch this, showing no mercy and a block on YouTube star Rachel Demita.
Oh no, you can't do Rachel Demita like that.
That's wrong.
Rachel had a good game though. I mean, she had a nice little game. Before this, she had made a little bucket and everything. You could tell that she had played. You got to do a little scouting report. That'd be like, see, if I tried to book a game of one-on-one between y'all two. See, I would know. I had to give you a little scouting report because I know Sarah would school you. All right?
I like where you're at, Cece.
Because I know the background.
You're going to cause division here on this side of the table.
I saw the video of you at the Nets, one of the practices, where you were schooling one of the other.
Oh, man.
Yeah, I saw that video.
You painted me into a corner here. Because I can't defend myself because it's disrespectful to our wonderful
You could be
guest.
disrespectful.
I got video evidence that I know this would happen.
Hey, you got video evidence of me. Hey, Cece, you said before the show that it's my job to keep you hip. Can we show Migos real quick? Cece, tell America who those three guys are. You got it. Tell America who those three guys are.
Offset, Takeoff, and the other
Quavo,
two.
the one we were just talking about.
Yeah, with the Euro.
Good job. Good job, Cece. Which is which?
On the outside, Offset on the left, Q in the middle, and my man who can't rap on the right.
Oh, give it to me. Good job.
Man, let me get a grill. Let me get a grill.
Oh, yeah. I'm wondering if
you got it.
Good job.
No, come on, stop.
All-Star Celebrity Game. That was fun. And you know
Keep
what?
it current, Nick.
Would you ever play in the All-Star Celebrity Game?
They've asked me to play in a couple times when I was at another network. I really didn't have time, and I'm afraid to get hurt. And they got little kids on the court. And I will block a woman's shot. I ain't gonna lie.
Cece's do way worse than Quavo did.
Yeah.
All right, back to the games that really matter. After 3 years of running through the Western Conference, the Warriors are in unfamiliar territory, second place at the All-Star break. They trailed the Rockets, though, by just a half game. CC, can the Rockets legitimately knock off the Warriors?
Of course they can. Nick and I, last week, about 10 days ago, we went to Brooklyn, your stomping grounds, to watch Houston up front. Nick introduced me to the owner and everything there of Houston. So we've been watching Houston under a microscope, Nick and I. Nick used to live in Houston. I'm a huge fan of Chris Paul, so seeing him come over, what would this team be like? And to see them evolve with him, Harden, and Capella, that combination being lethal, it's nice to see Houston. They're more than just a three-point shooting team. If you look at how they break down games in the fourth quarter, you know, whether they did before isolation, Harden's gets fouled, but now they're moving the ball more. I believe that their plan to close out games is better, and their mental makeup is better. They got tougher players. P.J. Tucker being added. It adds some, some grit to this team that we know is one of the best shooting teams. So you have to be able to match Golden State's shooting, but the grit that we know, and Golden State doesn't get a lot of credit for it, but we know they have it. I believe that they've gone out and acquired some of that.
So I want to talk about the Rockets. I'm glad we're going to talk about the Rockets right now because there are a couple things I think America just doesn't know about the Houston Rockets. They've played 29 games this year where James Harden, Chris Paul, and Clint Capella started. They are 28-1 in those 29 games. That is not a small sample size. That is not a fluke. That is a scary number. Here's another one. Basketball Reference has all-time NBA rankings as far as offensive efficiency. How good is your offense? The 2018 Houston Rockets rank #1 in the history of basketball. That is not some crazy advanced metric. It's points per 100 possessions. Houston Rockets, the best team ever. And by the way, how good is that list? Well, #2 is the '87 Lakers. #3 is last year's Warriors. #4 is the '92 Bulls. And #5 is the '88 Celtics. Those are four of the greatest teams we have ever seen.
So the metrics aren't just kind of doctored up or swayed to the current game.
Exactly
you see that
right.
The metrics cross over different generations.
Exactly right. And so you take all that. You mention the lesser-known players. Cece mentioned P.J. Tucker. He also was going to mention Luc Richard Mbamute, but he doesn't like saying his name. And so
we knew who you were talking about.
The two guys that do not need you to run a single play for them, go out and get some defensive stops, and go out and add some grit to your team, as Cece put it. You then add the fact that I know that everyone just likes to say, well, the Warriors, this could be the best Warriors team ever. Well, it could be, but 2/3 of the way through the season, we have no evidence of it. It is last year's Warriors team. I got it. They could have worse metrics than the previous year's team, and people were like, but they added Kevin Durant. They will be better. This is the same team as last year, just a year older, a year where they've all now won a championship, KD included, another year of a 100-game season on their bodies. And this Warriors team right now is not as good as last year's team. Maybe they will be, but they are scoring fewer points. They are allowing more points. Iguodala doesn't look as good. Livingston doesn't look as good. Draymond doesn't look as good. David West doesn't look as good.
Yes. Now, those players, especially the backup players, Draymond's a different conversation, but they look older. Livingston looks older. West looks older. Iggy, man, he needs to be at a higher level. I mean, we're not used to seeing him. Now, does he ramp it up as we get into May? Like, I don't know that, but I haven't seen it. And those are things that would bring into question, well, how good is Houston? I believe that Houston, this would be the best team that they have faced outside of the finals in the Western Conference. Even better than the OKC team that was up 3-1 that ended up losing 4-3.
So the other, I mean, you mentioned the other guys. One of the things that made the Warriors so deadly 2 years ago when they went 73-9, and also deadly last year, was when they went to that lineup of death. There was not a guy. Every single guy on the court had to be guarded at the three-point line. It was all five guys. You can't defend that. Like, you just can't, especially when two of them are Steph and Clay, and they became Steph, Clay, and Durant. Well, right now, Draymond Green is shooting less than 30%. And Andre Iguodala right now is the worst three-point shooter in the league. And so when those things, again, I want to make this clear because I don't want people to say, oh, Nick, the Warriors are the favorites.
Right.
I get it. But the idea that they are that they can't be beaten, I don't buy it, especially when you look at the Rockets up and down the lineup. Now, issue with the Rockets is, what's the question about James Harden? How he performs in big spots. What's the question about Chris Paul? How he performs in big spots. What's the question about
in big spots?
Right, and their head coach. How does he perform in big
the system?
Spots? Right,
the system in the
when
playoffs.
you get into a playoff, they start breaking it down where you can't get up and down the court as much. And one thing that I know that people don't know, watch, even though Houston is in the top 10 as far as defense efficiency, watch the shooting percentage that other teams shoot against them. Teams shoot well against them, actually shoot a better percentage than Houston shoots. So people are like, well, maybe it's because of the threes. Now, Golden State, on the other hand, they shoot 51%. Teams shoot 44%. So they get a lot of layups. So if you get into a series like that, I want to watch Houston's defense, how that defense matches up head-to-head against Golden State, because the percentage that they're giving up right now is a little bit too high.
And their depth. I mean, how much does Houston, you bring up the Golden State Warriors and their bench, does the depth of the Rockets have that big of an impact considering rotations get shortened in the playoffs?
Well, so I think it has an impact in this regard. They don't, you know what one of the problems with Oklahoma City was? Even the year they were up 3-1. You only had 7 guys, and really you only had 4 you trusted.
Right.
It was, even if you're going to go a short rotation, you still got to play 5.
Right.
And at one point, Roberson was not, he was still a great defender, probably not as good as he was playing this year, but his shot was broken. It never got fixed, by the way. And so you were playing 4-on-5 on offense. The Rockets, while you're not going to play 9 guys, you've got to have 7 you really trust. And I think they have 8 they really trust. And so that does allow for, if Ariza misses a couple games in a series, maybe not a series against Golden State, but you can overcome that. We haven't even mentioned Trevor Ariza.
Right.
He's a really good player.
Yes. And we haven't mentioned the players who can get you a bucket. You talk about the rotation going from 10 to 9, 9 from 8. But outside of your superstar players, I believe outside of Chris Paul and Harden, they have 4 or 5 other guys that, because of the way they run their offense, they can get a bucket because they're going to get a shot and they will shoot it. That's where I believe that they have an advantage over the teams that have previously faced Golden State in the Western Conference playoffs.
It'll be fun to watch and how D'Antoni's system translates.
Yeah, talk to your people, man. See if we can get to one of those games. See if you can pull some.
So wait, you didn't come to the Brooklyn to see the Nets?
Well, it was.
Well, we went to Brooklyn to see the bridge, and then we went to see some real basketball too.
I listened to that.
No problem. We'll take tickets from you.
Shout out to Spencer Dinwiddie. We got you, Nets. We got you, Nets.
All right. Coming up, did format changes save the All-Star game? That is next. Then first things first.
Defending skills competition champion.